President, al-Shara is a fascinating person, and I watched a few interviews with him, and he's clearly got a very important job to do, and a very difficult job to do, because so many people would love chaos in Syria right now. And I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm sure the Iranians and the Russians and a bunch of people with interest there would love chaos, because then they can control it again like they did for 30, 40, 50 years. And here's a guy who clearly loves his country because he fought as a rebel trying to overthrow this government for the last 10, 15 years. And now he's there, he's trying to walk that thin line and trying to make sure you can maintain order with a bunch of people in that country with different interests. And historically, if you look at the map, there were lots of different groups with different interests in that country. And obviously he's trying to steer it forward, keep the peace, and build the prosperity.
Correct.
And again, he's got also an incredible history. And again, if you dive into that history, you can focus on certain points. He was a young man. He said, look, I was a young man who wanted to go ahead and make right in the world. And when he saw the American invasion of Iraq, he said, I'm going to go fight this because it doesn't seem right. I think he learned a lot there as part of Al-Qaeda, and he went to prison, and I think he learned a lot about what he thought was right and what he thought was wrong. And I think he ended up disagreeing with a lot of the mentality at the time in Al-Qaeda, and he spent time there. And it's fascinating to have these people like Congressman Corey that are now, used to be on the opposite side with him, that can now sit in a room and say, okay, how do we take this forward? And I think people can play up parts of his past to try to, again, create that chaos. But what I see is a man who clearly wants a new future, for Syria. And in fact, if you look deeply at him, maybe all of these experiences he had are not liabilities. Maybe they're assets. Because here's a guy who's been there and seen there and done that. He understands the mentalities of what went wrong in the Middle East. And he's the kind of guy that can say, okay, I don't want that to happen. What do you make of all that? Because it's an easy thing for people to grab onto.
Here is what I look at it from that perspective. You're having the biggest assets today. A person like President al-Shara, who actually was on that side, he understood the mentality, and without any pressure, he realized that this is wrong. This is not the right one. At the time, everyone wanted to fight Assad. People would go with the devil just to fight Assad because he was worse than the devil. But for someone like President al-Shara to realize, go on that side and realize this is wrong, this is not right, and someone smart like him to realize it's wrong, it's a major signal. Then he actually was fighting him afterward, even before Assad and before the American or anything. He realized it's wrong and he said, this is not right. Today we learned, based on what Congressman Corey said, we learned that we need to utilize these assets. That's your weapon. We went to Iraq, we fought for years, we didn't achieve anything, and we thought, okay, we want to fight them all. We don't care whether we can utilize them or not. We want to fight them.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
We're gonna fight all of them. That was wrong. Look where's Iraq today. Yeah. So actually working with President al-Shara to ending these radicalism is the best thing America and the Western camp can do today. And that's how we have to look at this, not from an emotional perspective. Emotional is weakness. You have to look at it from factual perspective. How can we utilize someone who's been there, he understood the mentality, he realized it was wrong. That's the best thing we can use today to end all the ideology and radicalism in the Middle East or even around the world. So that's how I look at it from my own personal perspective. This is how I analyze things. I'm not an emotional guy. I try to look at these from a factual point. And the facts and the logic says, this is your biggest asset. You shouldn't fight him. You should actually collaborate how to end things in there. So
how does he unite a country filled with people with, diverse interests? Because we know there's people in there that say, well, you're meeting with Americans. And we don't like America. America's always been the worst thing for the Middle East. Wait, you're thinking about talking with Israel? Oh my gosh, that's our arch enemy in the Middle East. What happened to what we used to fight for? And so you've seen, we had a bombing a couple weeks ago, I think in a Greek Orthodox church, and the media kind of grabbed on this narrative to show that, okay, there's still out of control there. And he's got to try to keep a lot of people happy in a nation that's been tumultuous for, decades. How does he do that?
Well, he has a very tough job to do. And actually, if you look at it, he's surrounded, with all these people that are trying to use anything against him to divide the country. And his ultimate goal is keeping unity. He's focused on keeping Syria united. But one of the things that President al-Shara focus on how we can turn all the Syrian into, he wants to give them the mentality on today is a chance to prosper. We don't want to go in the past. And actually, the Syrian people are more than happy today to shake hands, even with Israel. You've seen the post in the middle of Tel Aviv having all these presidents and saying New Middle East. Yeah. So I posted this on my social media and I said, what do you think? I knew I have a large following from Syrian community in Syria who lives in Damascus. So I posted that. I had close to 1,900 messages. When I filtered this through AI just to see 90% were so happy. We wish this to happen. I still have the data on me. We wish this to happen. We can't wait for it. This is the best thing, we are the new generation. Let's end the conflict. We've been 54 years fighting for the cause, and 80% of the Syrian budget for the past 54 years was going to the army. 80% was funding the army. And every time someone asks, either he disappears or they give an answer, we're fighting for the cause. And the first cause was fighting Syrian. The first tank went to fight the Syrian. So Syrian people don't want that. They're diverse, and they said, today we want to create peace, we want to prosper. Give us this chance. And we were so happy. We've seen the first Syrian Jewish community in 54 years, having a special delegation twice, going to Syria, being welcomed. One of my friends, Rabbi Ash, he traveled to Syria. He was so happy. He left the delegation, he took a taxi by himself and he started going around the city. And he saw the people welcoming him. When you talk to him, it's so fascinating for me to see this today. When we put the American flag everywhere, people were so happy. They're welcoming the idea. They woke up. Their conscience is awake today. And this is where I see a major opportunity. Now is the time to act. Now is the time. This is why President Trump said, now is the time to give them a chance.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting-edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside, I view, is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.